Aloha folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I take a look at the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each one is doing. So let's get started. Number 5 is The Marksman, which made $701,000 this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $12 million and a worldwide gross of $16 million. So this puts it at about $7 million away from its $23 million budget, and while I think it'll be able to cross that eventually, I do think we will not be able to see that milestone, as I do think this will be the last time we see this movie due to how it's slowing down significantly and with how many releases are coming out next week. But it had a good run. It did about as well as Honest Thief back in October, so I guess that's something. And it eventually will be able to cross its initial budget of $23 million, so at least there's that. Number 4 is Wonder Woman 1984, which made $705,000 this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $43 million and its worldwide total to $161 million. So this is the first time, well, on this show at least, that Wonder Woman has made less than $1 million, so it is definitely on its way out right now, especially with how significantly the drops are. Well, this week was just 12%, but still. And it seems like the movie will clock in at $45 million at the end of its domestic run, which is still pretty impressive, given how the situation has been going on for months on end. The fact that it was even able to cross 40 is still an achievement, and it made over 160 worldwide, so that's still pretty good in my book, given the times we are in. But still, it definitely won't make its initial production budget of $200 million back, that's for sure, but still, this is still not a bad domestic run. It could have done better, but keep in mind, it could have done a lot worse, like New Mutants worse. Moving on to number 3, we have The Little Things, which made $930,000 this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $12 million and its worldwide gross to $23 million. So this puts it at $7 million away from its initial production budget of $30 million, and just like The Marksman, I do think it'll be able to cross it, not double it, but I do think it'll be able to make its initial budget back worldwide very soon, and frankly, maybe even sooner than The Marksman. And the fact that it's already made $12 million too is also surprising, because I definitely did not expect this movie to do as well as it's doing. I think it might make 15 million or maybe even 20 million at the end of the domestic run, which is very good for a movie like this. So good on you, The Little Things. You definitely surprised me. Number 2 is The Crude New Age, which made $1.2 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $52 million and its worldwide total to $156 million. Boy, don't I look silly thinking that this movie was just going to come very close to Tenet domestically, even though that now it's at only $5 million away from crossing Tenet at the top 10 domestic box office charts for 2020. Silly old me. I don't know what else needs to be said about how this movie's doing. It's just been killing it domestically. It is a force that cannot be reckoned with. Even when there is very stiff competition on the horizon, this movie is still making money. And normally for any other movie, this would be the point where I would say, all right, it's got to slow down eventually. It's going to slow down very soon. Next week, it's going to drop super hard. But I've been wrong about this movie so many times on this show that I'm just going to say we'll see how it does next week on the show, because we both know that it's going to appear again in the charts. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that is Tom and Jerry, which opened to $14.1 million on its first weekend domestically and is sitting at $38 million worldwide. So this movie now holds the record for the second biggest opening weekend post-pandemic, just $2 million behind Wonder Woman 1984, and it also proves the point that family movies really have a standing chance in terms of theatrical revenue, with stuff like this, The Crudes, and many of you don't remember it, but War with Grandpa had strong holds and did better than expected at the box office, and it really shows that families are willing to go back to the theater again, even if the movie that they are seeing is not particularly good. More on that later this week. Not to mention that the movie is now 11 million away from crossing its initial production budget of $50 million back, and I think it's guaranteed that it'll be able to cross that worldwide and become a pretty big hit for Warner Brothers, which is definitely something they haven't seen in a while, and also makes me question why they decided to release Tenet and Wonder Woman before this when they were both big, bloated, dumb blockbusters that costed tons of money, but more that's a story for another day. So yeah, Tom and Jerry did very good this weekend. We'll see how well it does throughout its theatrical run. Will it have strong holds like The Crude, or will it slow down like Wonder Woman, especially since that there's another family movie hitting theaters this week. But for now, Tom and Jerry is a hit, and I definitely think Warner Brothers is happy about that, given how not so great their movies have been doing lately. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we got another week ahead of us and more movies hitting theaters very soon. And this week is very special for two reasons. One is that New York City has finally been given the all clear to release their theaters open at 25% capacity. But still, this is a good sign and a very good step in the right direction in terms of reopening theaters, and especially when it comes to releasing movies in the future, because I think that this might encourage more movies to stay on their date instead of pushing it back. And due to how New York, along with LA, are two big major markets for the theatrical industry, and I do think that we will see increases for every single movie named here. Even if they don't make it into the video next week, we will definitely see increases in the charts for next week. And another reason is that we got 3 new wide releases hitting theaters this week, starting with Boogie. Now, this is a sports drama about a Chinese American man who wants to make it big and prove himself as a basketball athlete. And while I've seen some promotion for it here and there, I've seen a couple ads for it, I'm not sure if it'll make a lasting impression at the box office, given how little I've seen people talk about it online. I've seen it brought up here and there, but not by much. But we'll see. I definitely think with the reopenings in New York, I definitely think it'll make it to the top 5, but won't open high. Another movie releasing this weekend is Chaos Walking. Yes, this movie that was deemed unreleasable as it kept getting pushed back numerous amounts of times with no release date in sight. I think it officially wrapped up in 2017, I want to say, and now it's officially releasing this week. But even with the large amount of promotion and advertising for this movie, seriously, Lionsgate has been shoving this movie down my throat. They really want this to be a hit. I do not believe it will be, or it will have a strong opening this weekend, because even with its promotion, even with its marketing campaign, I know little to no one who cares or even knows this movie is coming out. And even if they do know it's coming out, they all say the same thing, and that it does not look that good. But again, I've been wrong on this show before. Maybe it opens to gangbusters. I mean, Tom Holland is in it, so some people are bound to see it. But right now, I just don't see it with this movie. And then finally, there's Raya and the Last Dragon, which is not only the newest family film to release in theaters, but also the first Disney movie to release in over a year, not including films released by 20th Century Studios or Searchlight Pictures, since Onward, which unfortunately underperformed due to it releasing just 2 weeks before we all had to lock ourselves indoors and live in the still remaining pandemic we are suffering through right now. But Thankfully, that movie was released soon onto Disney Plus and got some recognition that it deserved. And this movie will sort of be releasing on Disney Plus and also in theaters. It's doing a similar thing to Tom and Jerry and the Warner Brothers movies, where it'll have a simultaneous release both in theaters and on Disney Plus. But there is a catch on Disney Plus where if you want to see it on the streaming service, you will have to pay a costly price of $29.99. So either way, you're spending money on this movie. But still, given how the Crudes and Tom and Jerry, and yes, even War with Grandpa have done, I see no reason why this won't have a strong opening. I think this might top Tom and Jerry's and become the second biggest opening weekend, given that it's Disney and everyone sees Disney no matter how bad they are. Lion King. Excuse me, something in my throat. But yeah, I see no reason why this won't top the box office charts next week. And I definitely see it doing well on Disney Plus as well. So we'll see where this movie lands, as well as the other releases that are hitting theaters this weekend on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the top 5 domestic box office results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.